Kaitlyn Blythe, welcome to Bloody Reanimates.
I'm so happy to be here, you don't even know.
I mean, you should feel so honoured that I've invited you into the inner sanctum of people that I allow to talk about Jeffrey Combs with me.
I'm really flattered. I probably would be more flattered if I hadn't strong-armed you into agreeing to let me on.
No.
I think my exact words were, "When are you gonna have me on your podcast?"
And I said, "Soon, I promise."
Yeah. I had you in a chokehold at the time.
Yeah. You kept making the cutting across the throat gesture at me, across the room. It was.
Yeah, I did.
It was menacing.
I kept promising to give you COVID. Oh, that's too dark. Is that too dark? Sorry, I just watched a movie called Contagion. It's all front of mind.
And that is the movie we're covering. Little known Jeffrey Combs vehicle, I imagine. Could not find a lot of information about this one online. Contagion from 2002. Look, it's fine. Let's straight out of the gate.
It's not bad.
It's not up there with your Reanimator or with your Frighteners, or even to a lesser extent your Castle Freak, but it's not horrendous.
It's not unwatchable. I'll give it that. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's silly in a way that it probably shouldn't be, but it's also not actively offensive, which I quite like.
There were story choices that I thought, and the quality of it, I was like, wait, this looks very early 90s, the film quality. I don't know if it's just because I was watching on YouTube, but it had that flat TV movie look where everything is in perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was square. It was very square.
Yeah, that's definitely a TV movie look, but it's also just kind of unfortunately what happens when you have to dig around and find things in unseemly places for this podcast. So this
I thought you were talking about the way they made it, and I was like, oh, do you know something?
I don't know anything about this movie.
What did they do?
I don't know anything about it apart from... So it was directed by John Merlowski.
Sure.
I don't recognise much of his work, but he did do a film called Santa with Muscles in 1996 with Hulk Hogan.
Oh, why aren't we watching that?
Because Jeffrey Combs isn't in it. Why would I care?
Oh, well then throw it in the bin.
Exactly. He also did something that looks interesting called Zombie Hamlet in 2012, which... I mean, I picked that at random from his filmography because I was like, that sounds interesting. And that also has Hulk Hogan in it. Are they friends?
All right. Okay.
It was also written by Russell V. Manzat, who didn't do a lot before this and also hasn't done anything since.
Wow.
2002.
This was his opus. This was his passion project.
Or the last thing that he did before he realised he didn't want to be a screenwriter anymore, maybe.
Or the last thing that he did before he realised he can't do this.
Well,
it's not terrible.
Yeah, it is a fine script. It is not...
Yeah.
It is not ridiculous in that way of people don't actually ever talk like this. But it's not particularly funny. There's a couple of scenes that I think are really genuinely quite heartwarming.
A lot of the script felt like, they put placeholders in while they were writing, and then they just never put anything better in that placeholder.
Yeah, they just didn't circle back.
No, they didn't do another pass. They didn't punch it up, as we say in the industry. I'm sorry, I got into a screenwriting program literally this morning, so now I think that I'm an industry hack.
Oh, yeah.
I think I am.
You're better than all of us.
I am. I'm so much better than this podcast. And if we hadn't already booked this in, I would have been like, sorry, but you can't afford me.
So long, suckers. So the opening credits really set the tone for this because the opening credits, it's white block text, which is literally decorated with the American flag.
I just don't think we see enough of that anymore.
Yeah, it's not
it's impact font, practically. And then it's just they've cut out the letters over its beautiful waving American flag.
It's an incredibly American film. The idea of the whole film is based around the importance of the American president and the office of the presidency. That's the whole film.
There's other stuff which we can get into as we go along, but there's other stuff that is actually we have learned in recent events, so realistic to how Americans would react to all this.
Yes, unfortunately. Unfortunately, this film is actually going to be quite a little bit of a prediction as to what would happen.
And also what would not happen.
Yes. What would absolutely be a tremendous error.
But an error, but also the how serious they take the outbreak, like immediately within 24 hours.
Some people.
I kept
yeah.
A lot of people in the movie, and I kept yelling at the screen like, nope.
Nope.
It would be months down the road. It wouldn't be in the first 12 hours.
No. So we open on a sniper who's looking to kill the president. This sniper is trained on the president. They've got this long-looking gun. Very poor bodyguards that can't seem to see this silencer, like, hanging out of a window.
They're not scanning. They're not doing a quick scan of the windows.
No. It's almost like they want the president to be murdered.
Have we uncovered a subplot? The bodyguards were...
No, this movie is not trying to do anything that interesting.
There's no layers.
So we meet the US president, played by Bruce Boxleitner. I'm going to assume that's how you pronounce that.
Wow. That's a great name.
It's a good name.
But
it also might
what job is lightning boxes? These boxes are too heavy. Quick, get Bruce.
Yeah, it's when you empty them and you make them lighter. Bruce Boxleitner played the captain in Babylon 5 for anyone that's watched that. That's probably his most notable thing. He's got a good face for a smarmy politician.
Yeah, he did really well.
Yeah, like he looks like a president. He's got a bit of a Bill Clinton vibe to him.
Yes, he's got such... It's interesting because this was like, what, the second or third year of the George W. Bush presidency that this came out?
2002, yeah, I guess.
So when they were making it, I guess he would have just become president. So they just ended the Bill Clinton era, like when they were making it. So this was still their idea of like what a president was.
Yeah, they were like...
It was like, he's like very white and presentable, but also like low-key has sexual energy with everyone in the room.
He's definitely meant to be written as charming. He is shot not with a bullet, but with a dart and rushed off to the hospital. He's not very bothered by this, despite having gotten a dart into his neck. I mean, this is 2002. This is post-AIDS, post-anthrax, post a lot of things that can kill you with a dart.
Also, like, not to take it there, but 9/11 has just happened.
Yeah.
And... do you remember that time? It was like, everything was like, oh, someone might send anthrax to you in an envelope. And this guy gets a sniper dart in his neck, and he's like, it's probably nothing.
Yeah, he is so unbothered for an alarming amount of time. Like, he eventually takes it seriously, but way too late.
It takes a long time. And like, I actually thought that was quite an American US president response, because he kept talking about how I need to be strong to like win this campaign. And that's such a thing in American politics of like, you know how they always, if like Donald Trump or Joe Biden stumbles on a stairway, they're like, oh, can they be president? Like, they have to be physically like invulnerable. Yeah. Even though they all have to be over 35 or something. There's like a law. Yeah. Anyway.
They have to be a Superman despite them actually like legally needing to be an old man to be the president. Yeah. We then meet one of our main characters who's a very busy, important lady. She's very busy. She's got places to be. She's a busy career lady.
Here's what I like about her. She wears a suit. She's talking on her phone while she's walking. She's answering the phone. This is 2002. Mm-hmm. She has a little tiny phone. It's a flip phone. It has a really chunky little antenna that you can extend and she's a business lady.
She's business. She's got a career on the line, damn it.
Yeah, god damn it. She's like, get me on the other airline. Ha!
Oh, do I have to do everything myself? Oh, I'm well, she's not mean about it. She's just
she's really nice.
She's kind of like, I've got so many balls in the air. I don't have time for a husband or a child. I have a career.
This is what I liked about this character is I actually would want to hang out with her. Like, you know, we can talk more about like her doctoring soon, but but like they don't write her as an ice queen, even though you can tell from the script she was supposed to be an ice queen.
Well, she's the main character, so she really
Right.
has to be reasonably likable and empathetic. This is Dr. Landis, who will be our main character, played by Megan Gallagher, who did a lot of TV. I think it seems like her longest running TV stints were in Suits and The Larry Sanders Show. So she's approached. She was accosted by the Secret Service and taken to the president. They're like, "You're the best virologist we've got. And the president's in trouble. We need you. We're going to strong arm you into this car, not tell you what's happening."
There's no time to explain. Let me explain.
I think a good example of the kind of character that she's written as is this little exchange that she has when she does eventually meet the president.
Nurse Washington, I need a full CBC on anyone who's had contact with the president. I also need a biopsy of the puncture site. I need you to disrobe.
Well, whatever you're doing, you need to have it done by 3 o'clock because I'm catching a plane to St. Paul.
Not if you're in quarantine.
Quarantine?
Sir, if you were infected with a pathogen, we have to make sure that it doesn't leave this hospital.
You wouldn't be looking to make this your shot at the big leagues, would you?
Mr. President, with all due respect, in my world, I am the big leagues.
You didn't vote for me, did you?
Yeah, she's fun. She's sassy.
Straight fire, lady. Like, she's just spitting fire, and I love it. You don't, like, I was like, actually, I love this character because, I mean, she gets treated like shit in this movie, as we'll see, because there's stuff that I really had an issue with. She gets fully judged for being divorced, as if, like, it was all her fault, and she just didn't have time for love. Love is too messy, and she's got neat, tidy suits. She doesn't like mess, even though she wears her hair down at work. I mean, that's just a recipe for flyaways.
It also just, I imagine being a doctor is really stressful and sweaty. Like, just wear it in a ponytail.
I don't
Or
get
bun.
why she, I mean, yeah, I don't get why she didn't have a ponytail. I don't get why her hair was that long. Just, anyway.
Do doctors not have long hair?
No, I mean, they can. They can do whatever they want. You know what? Women can have it all.
They can be a doctor and have long hair if they want.
That's all I'm saying. That's what feminism is.
In the go-go new millennium, women can have long hair.
You would not know that she was in a new millennium at all. Nobody in this had, like, pastel, like, shiny lip gloss. There was no eye glitter. There were no zigzag hair parts.
I think it's because the one thing that this film was missing was teenage girls who grew up in the millennium.
Yeah, and that's what it was really missing.
There was no 14-year-old girls who were on their way to a blue light disco. Unfortunately, the one thing this was missing.
There were no lowrider jeans, which is a blessing.
No one was spraying themselves with Spice Girls Impulse perfume.
Oh, God.
So we get a mysterious phone call to the president's chief of staff, where a man with a strange accent tells us that the president has been infected with some kind of level 4, quote, hot agent.
Yeah, why isn't that the name of the movie, frankly?
Because they would have thought it's about a sexy secret agent.
Then they would have seen the secret agents and been like, well, damn, it is.
Oh, damn. These are hot agents. I meant the agent in your blood. Oh,
we all had a good laugh.
Misunderstanding.
A moment of levity in this horrible tragedy.
The president wants to keep it under wraps, though. He's like, I have to protect the Middle East peace talks. I think that in the film, the president is just trying to be like, hey, we're not going to mention 9/11, but there's some stuff happening with the Middle East. There's stuff happening. We don't need to jeopardize all of this. So a quarantine is imposed on the entire hospital, and people start fucking freaking out. People start, like, panicking, fleeing, screaming. People leave the hospital despite they've just said that you need to be quarantined.
Okay, but isn't that realistic?
It is incredibly realistic.
So many people were driving like hell for that New South Wales border when Melbourne was going to lock down the first time.
Yeah, no, of course. Like, it's incredibly, unfortunately now we know, quite normal behaviour for people to flee the scene of an infection despite possibly knowing in their head that they may infect others by leaving. But people panic. People definitely panic here.
There was definitely panicking, yes.
Yes.
And there was I really enjoyed, I felt like it really added to the realism, but there was an extra really doing her most and saying, they're shutting the doors, they can't do this. And I was like, we've got our Karen. We've got our first Karen within seconds.
Mm-hmm. You can't do this to me. I've got places to be.
Are they allowed to do this?
Don't you know who I am?
I live in the suburbs, and I drive an SUV.
So Dr. Landis meets this weird little kid who's really fucking irritating.
I hate this kid.
This kid is called Dusty, and we're meant to feel sorry for him because he's an orphan, but he just keeps showing up, and he's ever so precocious, and he's obsessed with the president. What little kid is obsessed with the president, you little weirdo?
No kid. I don't think I knew who the president was when I was his age.
No, why would you care? And he's like, he's so desperate to meet the president. He's like, I love that guy. I'm like, I don't know. Shouldn't you want to meet like fucking Spider-Man or something? He's like what, 7, 8?
Yeah, but to be fair, if Spider-Man was in the hospital, he'd probably be stalking Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah, if your favorite guy was in the same hospital as you.
If Chris Evans was in the same hospital as me, I'd be climbing through air vents.
You'd run a fucking rampage, mate. You would be unstoppable.
I'd be like, they're gonna have to dart me in the neck to take me down because nothing will stop me otherwise.
Yep, quarantine or not, there's like a Kaitlyn shaped hole in the wall,
in the plastic wall.
Yep.
I'm definitely gonna be like shining Jack Nicholson through that quarantine wall.
Yeah, people are like trying to like sedate you. You've got all these needles in your back like a porcupine, and you're just like, no, I've got to get to my love.
They're like, for her weight and size, she should have been down 6 darts ago. And I'm like, the adrenaline that mothers get when they lifted a car off their child is now flowing through my veins because the object of my dearest affection is near.
Except, instead of a mother lifting a car off a child, it's you lifting
Chris
yourself.
Evans into my arms.
Yes. Yeah.
It's me lifting my depression off my shoulders by hugging Chris Evans.
I would love to see you picking Chris Evans up like a baby and carrying him out.
I would love to hold Chris Evans in my arms, like in a pool, and just like a therapeutic pool. And just sort of like sway him around until he falls asleep.
So here's a little, I guess, sample of this fucking kid.
Can you take me to see the president, please?
Sorry.
But I'm homeless.
He has a home. He lives at the state home for boys.
That's not a home. I really want to meet the president. How can you refuse to see an orphan?
Come on, orphan, let's get back to your room. You're supposed to be resting.
Oh, wait. I had my appendix out.
Okay.
Wait, do you have any kids?
No.
How come?
I'm really very busy.
Okay, so let me tell you about kids. You see, impressionable boys need their role models. If they don't have one, they become sociopaths and turn to lives of crime. Think about my future. Think about your future. Think about running into me in an alley about 10 years. Yeah. Come on, what better role model than the president?
I'll see what I can do.
Tell the president my schedule is wide open.
Yeah, he sucks. He's annoying.
I've actually I've written a lot of notes from this movie, and like I would say like 20% of it is just how much I hate this kid, and he's not in it for like a lot of the movie.
Yeah,
it's just that when he's on screen, I hate him.
And even when he's not, I'm still being like, what's that fucking kid up to?
You just know he's up to something.
Where is he?
Making things worse.
What's he planning? So Landis goes to see her friend Wayne, who also works at the hospital, and they have a little dialogue because they already know each other, where we find out that Landis had some sort of romantic relationship, but they broke up because she works too much.
Yes, and like immediately, so this guy is an old friend of hers, but didn't know anything about the breakup, which happened a year ago. But immediately, not knowing anything about what went down, he's just lays all the blame on her.
Yeah.
His alleged friend.
Yeah, he's like, you do work too much, you do put your career first, it's probably your fault.
Also, can we talk about the fact that she's there in her capacity as virologist because there is a suspected pathogen, so the first thing she does is wander around the hospital and hug people?
Yep, hug people, doesn't wear a mask for a little while. I mean, that's...
If at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird PPE decisions in this film. I can understand where she takes it on and off after she's been disinfected, but for a long time at the start, she's not even wearing a mask when she goes to see the people, which I guess makes it hard for a film, but then again, don't write a film about an incredibly contagious virus then. So we cut to a street scene where there's a giant, scary-looking army truck idling down the street, beaming from speakers telling people not to be alarmed, which is like, I mean, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm a bit alarmed now, guys.
Yeah, I'm a bit alarmed because there's a lot of army trucks and a fuck ton of soldiers walking down my suburban street, and they're telling me not to be alarmed despite having a lot of guns. And
Yes.
you aren't telling me what's happening.
You know when I wasn't alarmed is when nothing was happening on my street.
I'd probably be a lot less alarmed too if you said, hey, whatever you're thinking, I'm going to clear it up because, you know, you're looking at this incredibly scary situation and you've probably got a lot of ideas about what may or may not be happening. I'm just going to tell you what's actually happening to possibly assuage your fears. But no, it's just guns and yelling. We don't want to tell people what's going on because we don't want people to panic. Instead, we'll just drive through their street in tanks with guns.
The tanks were amazing because I get that this was a terrorist act, but it's like it's so like movie, it's so American movie to be like, we're gonna fight this virus with all the tanks we can throw at it.
What do you mean American movie? That is America. Oh yeah, there's a lot of things in this where I thought, that seems like a pretty typically American response to something.
Can you imagine that, like, if we'd watched this even like 2 years ago, we would have been like, haha, this would never happen.
Oh, that's so silly.
Look at this silly movie that we found.
That's so unrealistic.
We used to sound like that before the pandemic.
Yes, yes.
We always talked like this.
Yeah. No, now I mean, I probably sound fine on the audio, but now I sound like a Baba Yaga because the lockdown's taken a toll.
Yeah, she grew chicken legs.
Don't talk about my chicken legs.
Sorry.
So we
you said one thing to me, but when I agreed to come on this podcast, you said, you come on the podcast, just don't talk about my chicken legs, and I broke your one rule.
I'm
so sorry.
self-conscious. So we meet probably one of the worst characters in this, just this fucking awful dude called Riker, who's the army general. He apparently has, you know, his eye on the presidency, which...
It made no sense.
Like, why would an army general want to be the president? They're very different jobs. An army general, if you love, I don't know, killing, you're actually not going to get to do much of that as president.
Well, not directly.
It's mostly admin. I
it's
feel
a lot of admin. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real desk job.
It is. I mean, it's weird enough that Trump did it. You know, it's like...
Yeah, he hated every second of it.
Oh, he hated it.
He was so
good.
bored.
It was so good seeing how much he hated doing those things he didn't think he'd have to do. He's like, I'm just going to sit in the office and I'll get money and chicks and coke and stuff like that. And then he ended up having to go to, like, meetings.
He had to talk to boring people.
So boring.
That weren't famous.
And there's just so fewer opportunities to, like, grope models when you're the president. I mean,
still opportunities.
None.
It's not zero.
Although he did get more of a chance to grope the Pope. Do you remember that?
What? I've missed so much.
No, do you remember it was when Trump was taking a photo with the Pope, and there's a gif online of him trying to hold his fucking hand when they're taking the photo.
Oh my god, what a weirdo.
Yeah, he's trying to hold his hand and the Pope is like, no, and he's like batting his hand away.
I think that there was like 4 years of such an onslaught of like famous world leaders being disgusted by Donald Trump's personal habits and manners that it actually all just got like blurred together in my mind.
Oh, absolutely. Like literally every day there was a different horrible, ridiculous, bizarre thing he would say, and it became so routine.
Yeah. And nothing will ever top him just leaving that open umbrella at the top of the airplane stairs. God.
So Landis finds out that the hot agent is some sort of super Ebola. So it's Ebola, but it's more infectious and more fast acting. They've never seen an Ebola like this. This ain't your daddy's Ebola. So Landis tells the president about this, and it also means that not only does the president have it, but his commander-in-chief and the nurse who was looking after them also has it. So we get another call from our shooter, and this is where we meet your friend and mine, Jeffrey Combs. He is doing, I'm going to say, not a terrible, but not a brilliant Irish accent. So I'm not really sure why the character had to be Irish. I think that they just liked the idea of an Irish terrorist on paper. I will say, though, like, as I was watching the film, his accent isn't that bad considering he is an American.
I agree.
Yes, considering that Americans, it's very hard for Americans to do European accents like that.
Yes.
And I think that he's doing a decent job. You know, if I wasn't obviously this huge super fan I was, and I know that he's not obviously Irish. No, it was it was okay. Judge for yourself. Here's a little clip.
Let's just say we're a humanitarian organization and we want money for war reparations in the Middle East.
What do you want?
$100 million to be deposited into a Swiss bank account whose number we'll provide.
100 million. You're aware that it's a policy of the United States not to negotiate with terrorists?
I seem to recall the last time your president refused to negotiate with hostages, people died. Well, now we'll see how willing he is when it's his own life on the line.
So he plays Brown. I don't think it's actually said in the film what his name is, but he's credited as Brown. Even though this is not anywhere near one of his most loved films, I mean, I doubt most. I think only the super fans like me would have even seen it. But again, it's a decent performance, especially as it goes on, of him being this sort of lackey. So Brown isn't on his own here. He wants $100 million, and he tells them that he and his accomplice have hidden 3 doses of an arresting serum which will halt the progress of the disease. And then they'll get the full cure once the money is given in 24 hours. We also see that Brown is in cahoots with a nurse from the hospital who is played by Scream Queen Lynn Shay. And if you like horror movies, I mean, I know that a lot of Jeffrey Combs fans have come from the sci-fi area, maybe don't watch as many horror films. But Lynn Shay she has done so many horror films. She's so good. Probably best known for the Insidious movies. She's done heaps of really good horror. She's one of my favorite people. Obviously I was going to watch this film anyway because Jeffrey Combs was in it. But then I was like, oh, Lynn Shay, great. Love these two together. Yeah, there's actually been there's been at least 2 films I've watched, 2 or 3 films now, where Jeffrey Combs has also popped up with another one of my favorite cult genre actors, Andrew Divoff, who was the Wishmaster in the Wishmaster movies. And that's such a nice surprise to be like, oh, I love that guy, and I love that guy too. This is a fun time for me. I got a lot going on in my life, and this is a good thing for me.
This must have been really fun for you because he is like a pretty central character and like lots of lines, and honestly is kind of going for it. Like,
yes.
I don't know if that's just what he does.
It is what he does.
Yeah, okay, all right.
That is the one thing I will always give Jeffrey Combs, is that no matter what the role is, no matter how dog shit the script is, he gives it 110%.
It's impressive. And I feel like Lynn Shay is also just going for it. And honestly, I really enjoyed this movie. I laughed a lot. I don't think you're supposed to. But those two together were so fun. Like, so, like,
yeah,
just like, you know, there's like the villainy, and she's so evil, and he's so, I don't really know what his deal is, but he's definitely not as smart as her. No, she definitely has the brains of the outfit. It's a slightly Pinky in the Brain situation. I think he's meant to be the muscle, even though he's not like a strong arm guy. He's more of I'll do the dangerous shit. And then Lynn Shay was obviously going to do all of the doctory shit because, as we learn later, she knows about that stuff. So there's a scene where we meet Dusty again, and he's just crawling around the hospital looking for his cat. I have a lot of questions about this. Why is there a cat in the hospital?
Yeah.
Why does he know its name? Why is he acting like he comes here every day to feed this cat? How long has he been in a hospital? How long has the cat lived in this hospital? Where did he get the cat milk and bowl from? This is a hospital.
Well, he says that he got his appendix out. I don't know how long you're in hospital for when you have your appendix out, but he also seems fine, so he can probably be discharged. I don't know why he's
crawling around.
Yeah, he's fine. He's pretty upwardly mobile. Yeah, I'm not sure if like he just brought his own cat from home or if it's a cat that visits the hospital, because I don't think cats can very easily get into hospitals.
They threw that away as if like the cat doesn't even really matter. The cat is just like to illustrate like a part of the plot. And I'm like, it raised too many questions for me. I was really hung up on the cat.
Yes, and it's probably best not to get too attached to the cat either.
Sherry.
The Sherry, yes. the
Beautiful
cat.
Sherry.
Beautiful, very nice.
Very,
Gingy.
very good cat.
Very good ginger cat. I liked the cat. Cat was my favorite character. The president refuses the halting serum.
Okay.
That's the least realistic part of this film.
Okay.
As fucking if a president would do that.
Here's-
Imagine Trump being like, no, give it to someone more deserving.
Okay.
Fuck you.
But it's not even that. He's not even being that noble. It's that he, in his past as president, he has not negotiated with terrorists to save people, and those people died. So now he's like, if I do what the terrorists are saying and take this dose that will make me feel better, then I'm a hypocrite. And I'm like, your body count is already pretty high. And like just take the serum. And also, do all of these people forget about the fact that it is fucking contagious?
It's contagious and it will kill you.
But no, it'll kill you. Okay, it'll kill you. Fine, whatever,
Yeah.
right? But like, he's going, it will taint my reputation if I live, which is already like your reputation might be shot.
Yeah.
If living is what the problem is. But the thing is that like, and I feel like Dr. Landis actually tries to explain this to a few people. If they are cured, it means this virus cannot spread any further.
Yeah.
Like in this world, this is how it works. I don't know if that's how it works in the real world, but like this, you see this with like, you've seen this recently with people being like, no, I won't go get the vaccine. I'm gonna. This is more happening in America where they actually have vaccines. Australia's fine. We're fine.
Yeah, we're doing great.
We're doing great. We're so. But yeah, in America, there's people going, "Oh, I'm not going to get the vaccine until people who are more vulnerable and needy get the vaccine." And it's like, no, just get whatever vaccine you can into your goddamn skin, because like, if it stops at you, then it doesn't go further.
The nurse and the chief,
guy,
the aide, they both refuse it as well. So the nurse is like, I don't take a patient's dose. And then the aide is like, I'm not going to be the guy who took the president's medicine. It's like, well, then fucking no one has it. You're all going to die. Like,
they're like, oh, we could have stopped the spread, but we decided to die needlessly instead.
In studying the halting serum, Dr. Landis says that it's far beyond what anyone else is working on. She also mentions that the only other person who's ever come close was a Dr. Crowley, who apparently disappeared in the jungle somewhere. Don't worry, that's not going to come back. Wink, wink.
The way she throws that away, like, but we still have no idea who this could have been. There was only one doctor in all of history living right now who could have done this, but no, that doctor disappeared in the jungle.
Oh, well.
We won't look into it.
Oh, well. Let's never talk about it again. Landis does eventually convince the president, thankfully, to take the serum so that he can fucking survive and that they can use the antibodies for a cure. Well, it also doesn't help that Brown calls again and threatens to unleash the virus across a major city. So,
yes.
Obviously, that's also going to factor into your decision.
And so up until now, they have been, I think we're still going off the assumption in the movie that it is not spread by, it's not aerosolized, as they keep saying.
Yeah.
But then he's saying, Brown is saying that on the phone that he has aerosolizing equipment. So he can like set up this petri dish in front of a fan at a major city, and he's just going to give it to fucking everyone.
Yeah, he's going to put it in a t-shirt cannon and just blast it out at the Super Bowl.
And people will be catching it because everyone loves a t-shirt cannon. And then, they put the t-shirt on. Psych.
It's
You've got Ebola.
He's going to put it into the powder on Cool Ranch Doritos.
Oh, yum. Damn it.
Exactly. Haha, now you have Super Ebola.
I was taken in so easily by that. All I had to do was picture Cool Ranch Doritos.
Somehow we all knew that Doritos would be the downfall of America.
Yeah, we knew that.
The president is also flirting with Dr. Landis, and she's flirting right back as well. And it's like, come on, guys. There's a big thing happening right now.
Yeah, neither of them react to this pandemic appropriately.
I would say that Dr. Landis is suitably stressed, but she's not like ugly stressed, you know? It's like she's not being like gross about it.
She doesn't want to get wrinkles.
No, you don't want to like ugly cry because that's gross.
But also she is way too, like, this is, I actually wrote down in my notes because I have been chronically ill for over a decade. So when she was being really flippant with him and having terrible bedside manner, I wrote down in my notes, realistic.
Yeah.
She's a specialist doctor, and she's going to be a piece of shit about it.
It's interesting that...
No offense to doctors listening. Full offense.
Has this affection for this doctor, but it's also the fact that we also find out that he is a widower. There's a line somewhere in there where we find out he's a widower, and it's like, aww, he's lonely.
He was so sleazy. I just assumed he was divorced.
Yeah, I didn't actually get like a sexual tension between them. I just got like, oh, they're falling in love with each other. Oh, that's nice. Hey guys, remember the Super Ebola?
First of all, you didn't get sexual tension between them?
No, I didn't actually. So Dr. Landis goes to see the nurse who was infected, and she's gone downhill very quickly. And she gives Dr. Landis a necklace to give to her daughter. And this is actually like a really good scene. The actress that plays the nurse, Debbie Ann Thomas, is actually quite good.
This is what makes me so furious. She's doing a really good job. She's very sympathetic, except she's crying on her deathbed. She's blind now from the virus. And she's crying and handing over her necklace, and she's saying to Dr. Landis, "Tell my daughter I didn't want to leave her. My 11-year-old daughter who's going to be alone in the world now." And I'm like, you could have taken the fucking cure.
Yeah, it wasn't the time to be noble in that, especially because the other two weren't going to take it.
It's like, tell my daughter that I decided to needlessly die in an act that actually didn't help anyone, so wasn't noble.
No, it was actually kind of pointless in the end.
No, there's this thing in this movie of like nobility equals having no regard for your personal safety.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that. But can we talk about the protesters? Because within, I think, 10 hours of the president being infected, by the way, so it's not within 10 hours of, like, it's been less than 10 hours of, like, locking down the neighborhood and getting onto the news and stuff.
Yeah.
There are people out front of the hospital with protest signs that say, "The bug stops here." They've already gotten their texters out, and they've made signs and gone down to the hospital to achieve, I don't know what. They're protesting against Ebola.
See, I think that maybe I didn't read the signs properly, because I thought that those were just people who were like there in support of the president, because they were like, "Hey, our president's inside. He's gotten all wrapped up in something. We're just here to support him." But
I think that's probably what it was, but the way that they
the bug stops here is very strange. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I'll put that on the socials, and I'll try to find that the particular signage in the. It does seem strange that if you found out there was a contagion in a hospital, you would go down to where the contagion is and get closer to the contagion.
When you believe that it's real because you've made a sign that says so.
Yeah. So Lynn Shay decides to come out of wherever her and Brown are hiding. She wants to go to the hospital because she's obsessed with Dr. Landis. And she also seems really intimidated by how smart Dr. Landis is. She keeps referring to her as like this smarty pants. She thinks she's so good. Florence Nightingale, she's so smart. It's like, you're both doctors. I mean... I mean, this is my favorite part. Maybe one of my favorite parts of the whole movie, right? And it involves Jeffrey Combs, which is just... Mwah. Go on.
But it is the evil doctor, Lynn Shay, being goaded into revealing personal information about herself, because no one who went to Harvard can let a mention of a school go by without saying, "I went to Harvard."
Yeah, of course. So when she's on the phone, she eventually takes the phone from Brown and is talking to Landis on the phone. And, she's goading Landis like, "Oh, where did you go to school? Do you think you're so smart? Where did you go to school?"
This is what's so great, is that Landis didn't even bring it up.
Yeah.
Landis wasn't trying to get anywhere. She was just trying to, like, put this woman in her place by going, "Well, John Hopkins."
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously the woman goes, "Harvard."
Yeah. Harvard, Phi Beta Kappa.
She even said her sorority, which I don't know. Is that a thing people say when they went to medical school? They're
no idea.
"Here's the sorority I went to as well." Is that relevant?
Do people in medical school have sororities? I have no idea. I know so little about the American college system.
Same. I only know what is in like Zac Efron movies.
Yeah. Everything I know, everything I learned about sorority, I know from Legally Blonde.
Oh, same. Made it look so fun though. I want to live in a house full of like women who just care for me, and a little dog that I have named Bruiser.
Yeah.
God, what a life.
Yeah, but do you want to go to Harvard Law?
What, like it's hard?
They eventually find Sherry, the cat, dead in a closet, an incredible prop as well. And that's when they realize that the virus has become airborne.
Aerosolized.
It's in the air.
I think they actually say that, don't they? They say it's in the air.
Yeah, it's something because they notice that there's a vent, in the closet.
It's like, all right, Phil Collins. That's for you.
That's
that
just
was
for me.
you.
Yeah. You know how to get me is to just say Phil Collins. Phil Collins, where? Oh, I love that guy. Where is he?
Yeah, there was a dramatic pan up to a ceiling vent, and then I think Dr. Landis was the one who said, "It's airborne." Mm-hmm. And I laughed so hard, Lisa, I laughed so hard because I can't believe that no one running hotel quarantine in Australia watched Contagion 2002.
No, and maybe they should have.
I think maybe they should have.
Maybe
I think they would have learned a thing.
Maybe it should have been mandatory viewing. There's also a film from 2011 that's called Contagion, and I wonder if it's just the same premise. There's a great back and forth between Brown and Lin Shaye when Landis tells Brown that the virus is now airborne, and it's very clear that Brown did not know. So Lin Shaye has obviously...
Oh, but he covers it well.
Oh, yeah, he's nailing it. So it's very clear that Lin Shaye has been going rogue and not keeping Brown abreast of what's going on, and they have a bit of an argument, and Lin Shaye's just kind of like, "Don't worry, baby, I got it." Again, I actually couldn't work out if they were in a relationship because she gives him a kiss on the cheek earlier in the movie. I think probably the first time they see them when he does something good, but for the rest of the film, there's no indication as to how these two know each other. There's no romantic or sexual feeling that we can see between them. No. They just seem to know each other.
I think that I went into this assuming that this was going to be some kind of Die Hard situation where there's this like faceless mob, like this gang I mean, I didn't realize it was literally just these two people. Yeah. I thought that they were like working for an organization and that's why he was there, but it's literally just some Irish guy who knows how to snipe. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can't believe they made it through the whole movie without talking about the IRA. Like, is there any reason why he's like Irish? Like,
no idea.
How did they find each other?
Yeah,
what's the situation here?
I would love to know who approached who. I mean, did Lin Shaye's character just kind of go looking through like a phone book because it's 2002, and just kind of being like, all right, terrorist / Irish. I want an Irish terrorist, I think.
I want him to have a really charming accent, but not too Irish. I want it to be the kind of Irish where you can tell that he's also kind of American. Making this character Irish politicized it so much when I think they were actually trying almost to avoid talking about like at the time anti-Muslim sentiment was high. Yeah. Like I think they were just like, why don't we just cast a white American guy, give him a vaguely Irish accent, and then just never mention his background.
He didn't need to be Irish anyway.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
he didn't need to be anything. He could just be. If you're not going to go
into she's not anything, she's not like motivated by, like they haven't connected her to any bigger movement. Yeah, she's just a person who just wants to do bad things. Cast Jeffrey Combs and say to him, this character's Irish, or did he just show up on set day one and he was doing an Irish accent and they just like no one cared enough? They were just like, okay, fine.
I like to think that he auditioned with an Irish accent. Like, I like to think that it was just a generic like American white dude, and then he was like, I know what's going to set me apart from the rest of the pack.
I really felt like he was like, as an actor, he's like, I've done a lot of films with an American accent. I think this one I'm going to be Irish.
Yeah, why not? It's kind of like how whenever Sean Connery goes into a film, he goes, no, I'm doing a Scottish accent. I don't care if the character is not Scottish.
And it's not even fully Scottish, it's just Sean Connery.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to be doing Sean Connery.
Yeah.
get on board.
Yeah, and then
or
the
get out.
screenwriters are like, well, we have to write something now to explain what this is.
I mean, I recently saw a clip from the movie that awful movie that came out last year, the one where the guy thinks he's a honeybee, and Christopher Walken is in it doing the most ludicrous Irish accent. It's so weird.
Just to backtrack, what the fuck movie are you talking
You
about?
don't know about this?
No.
It's something like Wild Honey or something, and I thought it came out. So when people were talking about it on Twitter last year, I thought it had come out decades ago, and it was like the guy from 50 Shades of Grey and Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I thought this is from back before they were famous, when they couldn't choose their films. No, it was released last year. They made this by choice. And it is about a man and a woman in Ireland. So everyone's doing Irish accents. And I think his name is Jamie Dornan. He actually is Irish. But he also is revealed, like, he's like, we can't be together for the whole movie, I guess. And she's always like, why? Because we're both hot and single, and like, what's the obstacle here? And then eventually he's like crying, and he's like, I believe I'm a honeybee. It's ludicrous. I don't know why it exists. I haven't seen it, to be fair. I've seen clips of it, and the clips were bonkers.
I think I need to look it up.
It's like it's a reverse B movie, I think. I think that's what it is.
So something that Lin Shaye's character says that hints a little bit as to what we later find out about her character. She says that the president deserves to die for what he did to me. Mysterious.
So she's not doing this for any kind of political, agenda. She's not like politically motivated terrorist. She just literally just hates this guy.
Yeah.
So she created a super Ebola.
Yeah, and she also wouldn't mind $50 million. I mean, that's probably pretty good too.
I feel like she's gonna take the whole 100.
Oh yeah. I mean, she doesn't seem to have. She'll just pat
his cheek and go, "Don't worry, sweetie, Mummy's got it."
Yeah, and he'll be like, "Oh, all right then, Mrs." Oh, I can't do an Irish accent.
No, I actually thought what you were doing was pretty much what it sounds like.
There's a scene where Dr. Landis watches the president get undressed in silhouette, which I don't know if that was meant to be sexy.
I loved it.
Because he's just got like dad bod. Like, it's not like a silhouette of like a curvaceous lady or like a big buff dude or anything. He's just very much a normal shaped man, and she's just kind of watching him get undressed in like the silhouette. And I want to get on that dad bod.
This is such a feminist film, okay? Because they have flipped the script. Usually you see a curvaceous young, like, nubile woman, she's dressing, she doesn't know she's in silhouette. It's like, oh no, she thinks she's in private, but he's seeing everything. But you've got a doctor who's already tried to convince the president that she not only can, but should watch him undress, because I'm a doctor, don't you know? He's like, I'm going behind this curtain.
Yep, I want privacy.
Lady, you can't get what you want just yet. You can't see all this dad bod. And then she just stares at his silhouette, like she's falling in love. And it is so, like, I kept thinking, like, this is worthy of Men in Tights. Like, this is amazing. Like, I just kept hearing in my head, like, the night is young and you're so beautiful.
The night is young and you're the president.
And that's the thing, is he's not so beautiful. He's just a pretty average looking middle-aged guy.
Oh yeah, he's a perfectly, extremely normal looking man. I mean, I think that's what you want in a role for the US president. You want every man, even though
every man is kind of like polished up a little bit.
Yeah, even though notoriously a lot of US presidents have been strange people.
Strange and super rich.
Yep.
So like the weird kind of rich, where they've been rich too long. Like, it's body positivity, it's men being objects of female desire.
Flipping the male gaze.
Flipping the male fucking gaze.
That was definitely the point of this scene and the film. But then he also asks her the two questions that every woman gets asked, which is, have you been married and do you have kids? So the hospital goes into like a full quarantine lockdown. All the houses around the hospital are evacuated too, in this really very American aggressive way, where they're literally being like poked out with guns out of their own fucking homes.
Like, I think someone is holding their orange juice or something and being like, and they're stumbling as they're like pushed off of their lawn.
Yeah. So Lin Shaye and Landis actually end up in the same elevator. So Lin Shaye has gone into the hospital.
Oh, Lin Shaye.
She ends up in the same hospital. And her character is very good at so Lin Shaye is very good at just pretending to be oh, I'm just a normal person. I'm just a normal person here.
She really plays up I'm just a non-threatening woman of a certain age.
Yeah. Hi, sweetie.
Yes.
Oh, you're meeting the president. Wow. Yeah, she's...
But as if Landis wouldn't recognize her voice. They just spoke on the phone.
That's true, and Lin Shaye does have a pretty distinctive voice, I think. So Lin Shaye, she has gone there with the expressed intention of sticking Dr. Landis with a needle full of something. Some sort of acid.
I wasn't clear. Oh, is that what it was? Because I thought she was going to give more Ebola, but she was going to make sure it got into the doctor. But it also could have just been air, and that would have killed her too. So I mean, it could be anything, right?
She doesn't get a chance though. There's a really great shot where she's holding it menacingly above her head, and at the last second doesn't get a chance.
Her arm is at a perfect right angle. She's just holding it.
Yeah.
The thing is that she's not being subtle. She's not off to her side, quickly poking her. She is holding her arm, and she's holding it up there for a while.
Yeah.
And then the lift opens, the doors open, and there's a security guard there to usher Dr. Landis away. And he doesn't notice the woman with the really intent look on her face next to Dr. Landis holding a really long hypodermic needle up at a right angle.
The chairman of the board of the hospital tries to flee, even though he knows full well what's, quote, floating around in there. He tries to flee in a private helicopter, and there's a great scene where he goes up onto the roof.
It's amazing.
To try to hail his private helicopter, try to get the private helicopter to land, but the general is in another helicopter who's no private helicopter, you're not allowed to land. And then the chairman is no, you can land, it's fine. And then the army guy's no, we'll blow you up if you do. And then the private helicopter goes to land, and the general blows up the fucking helicopter. Just kills the people.
Someone fully just leans out of the military helicopter and launches a rocket into the other helicopter. We didn't know was around. It was art. And that was the moment in this movie where I really realized what this movie was. This was the moment that movie decided what it was. Because up until then I was in the beginning, the first half of the first act of Contagion 2002, I thought, okay, maybe they're trying to make a serious it's an airborne virus. They're making a thriller, a political thriller. And then when they had the helicopter fight in the air above the hospital, I was oh, this is art.
This is amazing. Why don't more films have two helicopters trying to land in the same place and then one killing the other helicopter?
This is Fast and the Furious, but after the fourth movie level of just pure joy.
The army general eventually strong-arms his men into the hospital. They're not helping at all. They're ripping shit up. They're fucking around and making things a lot worse. And then Landis receives a package. So it turns out that the Dr. Crowley, who they believed had done all of the important research on Ebola, but had died in the jungle, is actually Laura Crowley, Lin Shaye.
Dun dun dun.
Aha.
Ah.
Oh, I see.
I was shocked.
That is
shocked,
how,
I tell you.
That is how she managed to create the super Ebola. She's the leader in that field, apparently. The president says that when he sees a photo of her, he says he remembers her, and that she was injecting locals with her cure.
Yes, and I wrote in my notes, a doctor experimenting on black people? What?
That would never happen when white Americans go to African countries.
That doesn't seem realistic.
No. I'm sure white people have never done anything terrible in Rwanda.
No. This movie took a lot of big swings.
Yeah. Took a lot of poetic license with the behavior of white Americans.
But the helicopter fight. Oh yeah.
It happens all the time. So the president meets Dusty, the annoying fucking kid, and of course he fucking loves him. Ugh.
I have a real bugbear about precocious children in film. I really hate when children are supposed to be preternaturally wise and giving the adults advice and stuff like that. And they're supposed to be a little bit streetwise and wise cracking and all kinds of wise. And I'm just no, that's a 10-year-old. and
Yeah.
this is creepy.
They're not all Curly Sue.
Dusty isn't just annoying. He causes a lot of problems.
Yeah, he fucks around a lot.
Also, no one talked about the fact that this super Ebola jumped the species barrier and killed that cat. Why aren't we talking about this?
Yeah, I actually didn't notice that until you just said it then. I was like, oh yeah, it killed a cat. It shouldn't have killed a cat.
Did you know that every year in places like Colorado in the US, local animals just get the bubonic plague?
Cool.
It's just a thing that happens. They have to plan for it every year.
Great.
And often people will travel, or for various reasons, people will eat the local rodents and then they will get the bubonic plague and die. That's a real thing that happens.
Gross. We think of things like plagues, like the bubonic plague, as being so archaic, but it's just in Colorado. It's just like
it's
there.
in lots of places.
Yeah, it's like it really seems like something that exists to an age long gone, and it'll never return because it's an old thing.
And this is why it's important to know history, is because all the people who are like, oh, eventually COVID will just go away. It's like, well, the Black Death didn't go away.
No.
Like, it literally never went away. And just like with COVID, we're probably going to have to just like, it'll just be part of human life from now on.
I would say the Black Death has had good innings in terms of like...
I'll give it to the Black Death.
14th century, and it's been just still like going on since then.
Earlier.
Yeah, just hanging around.
Came back every couple hundred years and was like, what's up, guys? I'm here to decimate your population again.
Hey, a third of Europe? Fuck you.
The other 2/3? Yeah, all right, we'll see.
Yeah, you're cool.
Yeah, you're all right. But I'm going to go after these marmosets in Colorado. Oh, fuck those marmosets. Fuck them.
Yeah, I hate marmosets. So Dr. Landis finds out that the kid was in Rwanda. He said that his parents were missionaries and they sent him back when they got sick. So they sent him back to the US when they got sick, and they're like, we'll come back when we're better. And obviously they didn't get better and they died. For some reason, the connection between the information she has just found out about Laura Crowley, who was doing experimental cures on people with Ebola in Rwanda, does not at all sync with the information that she has also just found out about a boy who seems to have had Ebola in Rwanda and is now fine.
She's just, the thing is, you have to understand, she's always meeting white people from Rwanda who, like, not from Rwanda, but, like, lived there for a bit and had Ebola and came home. She just hears that story so much.
That's true.
Yeah.
Landis finds some marks on her now, and so she's like, fuck. Now I've got the fucking virus. God damn it. How did this happen?
I actually really respect the way she responds to it, because she immediately is like, I'm gonna go fuck the president.
Yeah, she takes off all of her PPE because she's like, what's the point now? Even though she could easily infect anyone else she comes across when she's not wearing her PPE. Yep. But it's important that she is able to touch the president and do his tie. It's such a weird moment because there's a scene earlier when he's having trouble tying his tie when he's getting dressed, and then she tries to do it, but she's wearing rubber gloves, and it's like, ha ha ha, this is a funny moment, I guess. And then
they laughed way too much about it. But, you know, it was the kind of laughter where these people have been under a lot of stress for, like, a prolonged period. Yeah. And so they're like, she's like, I've never done this with rubber gloves before. And he goes, I hope not. And they go, ha, 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 ha. And it's not funny.
It's the closest thing I've heard to a joke, and I just have so much tension in me that I need to release. It's going to come out at that point. The president offers this situation to his megalomaniac general, and together they come to the decision to bomb the hospital and the surrounding area.
Oh, and they have, like, no hesitation about it.
No, they also don't consult anyone else. They make this decision between literally the two of them.
Yep.
They do not even ask the people in the hospital if they want to die.
This is such a George W. Bush administration solution. And just, like, the fact that the way that, like, they go, he's like, okay, well, you want to be the president is saying to this guy who's been trying to take his job, okay, well, you want to be the president? Well, be the president now. You got to make a hard decision. What are you going to do? And the guy goes, I would set off a bomb that's got a 1 kilometer radius in the hospital. And the president goes, yeah, that is a good idea. And I was like, what? And then he goes,
brainstorm a bit.
Just like, you know what they say in, like, writing is don't go with the first thought. Like go, like, see what that's idea A. What's B? What's C? Let's just see what else is out there.
Let's put that as our worst case scenario. It's definitely seen as a heroic act to blow the shit out of this hospital.
As if you're murdering hundreds of people, it's okay if you're also murdering yourself.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm going down with the ship, therefore it's fine.
Yeah, and I'm the president, so it's like more important than killing just any regular guy.
So Dusty is crawling around in the air vents because he's a fuckhead.
Dusty.
Wayne also tells Landis that the kid caught the virus, but he has antibodies.
Oh yeah, that just happens.
Yeah, that just comes up. He's like, hey, I've been meaning to find you.
Yeah.
This kid has a cure in his blood. Should we find him?
That's the other thing. He doesn't yell it as soon as he walks up there. She's like, blah, 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 and he just kind of goes, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah, he happens to bump into her. He wasn't even looking for her.
Well, to be fair, he didn't know a bomb was set to go off in like 10 minutes.
That's true. He probably didn't realize the very strict time limit they were on. Even stricter than before. So now they're just going to find that damn kid. Who's like fixing food for the president.
So he's been trying to get at them for this whole time. He was supposed to stay in his hospital bed, but for this whole movie, all he's wanted to do was crawl through vents to wherever they were and annoy them. But now that he's actually useful, he goes fucking home alone. He's now playing loud music and like making a sandwich. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, I think he mentions he's trying to make some food for the president. So now Brown and Laura are in the hospital when, unfortunately, Brown realizes that he now has the virus. No!
Yeah.
The virusor has become the virusee.
And what goes around comes Ebola.
The famous phrase. He does the ultimate in low dog acts, though. He chooses Dr. Landis over Laura. He's like, I'm going to go see if she's got a theory because, you know, you've let this go out of control and you're clearly not as smart as her. Fucking Lin Shaye. And so hearing this, Laura kills him.
Yeah, which was completely earned. And I felt really made sense.
Yeah.
I'm making a face at you that shows that I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, the sarcasm face. I see.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't want that to happen because I wanted Jeffrey Combs to stay on screen a little bit. But I can also see how this is just a further development of this character going, I guess, mad with power or perhaps mad in her determination to just kill the president. I gotta kill that president.
Yeah. That's what's so interesting about this movie is that at the beginning it was about like, I don't want to kill anyone, I just want $100 million. But then it was, oh, actually, no, I want to kill the president. And if I kill half of America at the same time, I'm not only okay with that, I'm secretly thrilled about it.
Yeah, she definitely has, I guess, a very fast descent into madness because this is all happening over like half a day. So
this is what I really liked about this movie actually is that it's gone with the Jack Bauer 24 format where they just like every few hours, like every few scenes, they'll be like hour 10, and it's like it's a it's like a bottle episode where it's like really, really tight timeline. Oh, and it's all in one location. And I really like that.
Very stressful. So Laura finds Dusty and she says,
you don't want to linger over Jeffrey Combs' death a little longer? I mean, it's a big moment for you and for this podcast.
Look, it was very sad.
I think he was
very sad.
He was killed by having a needle poked into his heart.
Yeah. So she just kind of has one of her big hypodermic needles and she just stabs him in the chest. It is very sad to see Jeffrey Combs go. I wish he had gotten more screen time. I wish they had, because you know, whenever they would cut to Brown and Laura, it just wouldn't be a long enough scene. It's like, come on, I want to know more about these two.
And then we'd have to sit through all those boring scenes between Dr. Landis and the president, and it's like, I really want to know what the two maniacs in your basement are doing.
Yeah, I want to see more of them.
Yeah.
What's their history? What are they talking about? What do they want? What are they going to do with the money? Have they had sex? So Laura finds Dusty, and she says she's going to take him to the president. And unfortunately, Dusty recognizes her as the doctor that gave his parents her magical cure that fucking killed them. I mean, he's got a good recognition for faces.
Yes, but he also doesn't seem to put together that she gave them a cure and then they didn't live.
Yeah, they didn't come back.
He asks, what happened? It's like, kid, you already know they're dead.
Oh, Dusty,
The cure didn't work.
Don't you know?
Or is he just emotionally manipulating her? Because, he does do that.
He is precocious.
Ugh.
It could have been a long con the whole time.
Precocious little shit.
Laura flees with Dusty to the roof, and Landis and one of the security guards are like chasing them in hot pursuit. Again, Laura manages to take out one of the Secret Service guys with like a hammer. I don't know why there's a hammer in a hospital.
So at this point, the stakes are Dusty's blood can be used to make a cure.
Yes.
So Lynn wants to keep Dusty away from Dr. Landis because if Dr. Landis gets Dusty, then she can make a cure. And
Yes.
Lynn wants everyone to die of Super Ebola. But Lynn doesn't just simply dispose of Dusty. She, for some reason, because she's already evil, right? She already doesn't care about human life. She
Yes.
doesn't kill him. She just drags him to the roof. For reasons.
She seems to have some plan in her head that we're not aware of.
You're giving her so much credit.
Because Laura actually says that she wants a helicopter that's going to take her and Dusty away. I don't know what she plans to do with the child. We hear a little bit about, I guess, her story in this quite impassioned speech.
I used to be just like you. I was hopeful and I was idealistic. I thought I was going to save the world. I was going to go right to the top. But I wasn't socially acceptable like you. So I wasn't sent to Washington. I got sent to Rwanda. I met our president before I left. You know what he said to me? He said, the sacrifice you are making is an honor to your country. I was killing people and I thought I was curing them. Was that part of the honor? I was supposed to get promoted, but instead I got Ebola. What are you doing? Stop it!
And I guess her speech is kind of sympathetic. Like I was like, oh, you're not like cartoonishly evil because you were sent over to Rwanda with, I guess, almost like a false narrative, and you were doing the work of perhaps an administration that were not clear about its goals.
Yes. And did we find out that so we thought she was evilly implanting Super Ebola into locals in Rwanda, telling them it was a cure, but really making a Super Ebola and experimenting on them. But then in her speech at the end, she seems to be saying she thought she was giving them a cure. It was the government telling her that she was curing people when really they were being evil.
And that's why she hates the president. The president represents the administration which lied to her and therefore forced her to kill people.
There is never any mention of a vice president or a cabinet. Like when he is looking to make a decision, he goes to the head of the military that is trying to kill him or something.
Yeah, we don't meet a vice president. That's interesting.
There's no Secretary of State. Oh, another thing is when Dr. Landis thinks that she's going to die from the bomb, the president is like, who do you want us to call? She goes, no one, there's no one. So, she's a really nice, successful, personable, apparently, woman, a beautiful woman. And, but because she's got a job that she loves, there's no one in her life.
Yeah. That includes friends, family, acquaintances.
Neighbors, dog sitter.
Also, why would they call them for her? She has a phone.
She's been literally a big personality trait is that she always has her phone on her.
Yeah, it's like, you don't need to call. I could have called them if I wanted.
Yeah.
I don't need the president to call people on my behalf to say my last goodbyes for me.
Okay, so we're on the roof.
Yes.
We're getting the Rwanda speech from evil Dr.
Laura
Crowley. So we're now starting to feel sympathy for her.
Yes, she's at that desperation point. She's very, very stressed out and upset. She's obviously at the end of her wick when it comes to her journey of what's happened so far.
Yes, which has led her to menacing small children and killing a lot of people. Also, there's a really great line of hers earlier in the movie when Brown is like discovering that she knew that it was going to become airborne the whole time, and she goes like, oh, I'm not committing a genocide. Like, it's just like, once you find yourself saying that, I think that's the clue that you've made a wrong turn in your life.
Yeah, you shouldn't need to defend yourself against the genocide. The topic shouldn't even come up.
She and the president actually probably would have had a lot in common, where they have to be like saying to people, it's not a genocide.
It's not a genocide. I just want money.
I just want money, and I'm willing to kill whoever anyway.
After her big speech, though, Landis manages, and this is such an inventive way to kill someone.
Oh.
She unleashes one of those accordion quarantine tubes,
yes,
and it flicks out with such high velocity from its like coil that it engulfs Laura and like pushes her off the roof, but like with her
she's
inside
also
it.
in it. Yeah. But like, you didn't know these tubes were going to become so crucial, right? But like, there you go. So like, Dr. Landis is while the villain is monologuing, you know, instead of like anything else she could have been doing to maybe like get help or like something, she's using a small knife that I guess she had. She uses it to saw at the tape that is holding this tightly coiled quarantine tube, and she knows that if she can just cut through this tape, it will spring forth.
Yep, and somehow
with murderous power.
She seems to know that Dusty will get out of the way in time as well.
I mean,
like, they haven't sorted that out beforehand. We pretty much cut from that to the president being released from hospital.
Yeah.
He's fine now. Everything's good. The bomb was shut off with literally 2 seconds to go. So the president invites Dusty to the White House and also invites Dr. Landis. They give each other a thumbs up.
Amazing.
So romantic. Yeah, we did it. It's deeply unsexual.
Yeah, their relationship is like,
it's really strange. I don't really know if they wanted to have like the big romantic ending where Dr. Landis and the president ended up together, like actually in a romantic thing, because otherwise there would have been like a big kiss and then they would have like adopted Dusty or something.
Which is 100% what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I definitely thought that they were going to give Landis like a change of heart where she's like, you could come home with me, Dusty. It's like,
I fully thought, like, because they kept making comments about how she should have children and she should be married, and then you got this like single guy that she likes come into the picture, and then there's a child that needs parents, and I was just like, all the pieces of her life are falling into place.
Oh, now she finally has everything she needs. Her life is perfect now that she's saved the world and she gets a husband. So that's Contagion.
2002,
not 2011. That one doesn't have Jeffrey Combs in it, so it can fuck off.
Yeah, we don't care.
Don't
get out of here.
Don't give a shit. Not on this podcast.
So at this point in your life, would you ever watch a movie that doesn't have Jeffrey Combs in it? Or are you just like, they're dead to me?
Look, I kid. Obviously I watch.
Do you?
Obviously I watch films with...
We would never use humor, Lisa, to mislead people.
He's fun to watch. And obviously I care about my listeners and I want them to have a good time, but also an informative time.
You should all know that she is currently using a dropper to put fake tears on her cheeks. And it's not necessary because I'm the only one who can see her, and I can see her faking it. So
I want you to believe that I love this podcast so much. No, but it's also been fun because there's so many little pockets of films that Jeffrey Combs has done that I haven't seen. Like, I haven't seen a lot of his sci-fi stuff, like Babylon 5 and Star Trek and the various Star Trek iterations that he's done, because I obviously came to him through horror rather than sci-fi. And there's a whole
weird.
It's a whole wealth of Combs material that I haven't begun yet to plumb the depths of.
Because you've been tweeting about it for a long time before you started the podcast. So how many films has this guy been in?
Including voice credits and including movies that I won't cover because they're either a cameo or an unnamed character. 138.
Whoa.
That's acting roles. So, Kaitlyn, anything to plug?
Yes, my podcast, Just a Spoonful, which is a conversation podcast between me and another chronically ill or disabled person. It's going to be coming back soon. Going to be doing a short season of a few choice episodes. Check out my Twitter, Blythe by name. This was so much fun. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you. And I hope that you will continue this trend and watch more of his films.
My heart can only expand from here.
Is there enough room in it though? Because I feel like Chris Evans is taking up a lot of space in there.
As soon as Chris Evans gets cancelled, then Jeffrey's got a chance.
Oh no!
I know.
What would Chris Evans even be cancelled for?
People have tried to cancel him, but
being too lovely,
being too adorable,
being pretty.
He is very pretty.
Having the best eyelashes,
having the best dog,
having the best face.
Oh my god, we really love him.
He is so pretty.
A friend of mine
seems really nice.
He seems really nice. A friend of mine actually has a photo of him as her lock screen on her phone, and so I went, "Do you as well?"
I have a lock. I may or may not have Jeffrey Combs as my lock screen.
Oh, he's so cute there.
I may or may not post a screen cap of my current lock screen onto the socials. It may be revealing a little bit about me personally.
It's very personal. I'm trying to remember what mine is. Oh yeah, it's a Taylor Swift quote.
Oh, okay. Well, my lock screen is Jeffrey Combs and my home screen is my cat. The two most important things.
I can't believe Kevin didn't make the lock screen.
He used to be both.
Well, I mean, it's just that the lock screen is like how you present yourself to the world. And Kevin is your celebrity cat.
Kevin is my celebrity cat. Maybe I should get him on the podcast. Really up my numbers.
Oh my gosh.